I always knew that I lacked something in my communication. I also knew that I was a yeller when I communicated with my family. I didn't know what it was my communication lacked, and I had no idea how to stop yelling. Even when I felt that I wasn't yelling, my husband would say to me, "You are always yelling. Can't you just talk?" Even though my volume wasn't yelling, my tone was harsh, and my hands would be flailing. I always believed that listening was part of communication. One person talks and the other listens. This pretty much is what I thought of general communication. I believed the same for written communication. One person wrote or typed something and the other person read it. Simple, basic communication. Since I began interpersonal and small group communication, my beliefs about simple, basic communication has shifted. I once believed I was a great listener. Now I know that listening goes beyond just listening. As my listening skills begin to shift to real listening, listening to understand someone, listening to enjoy someone, listening to learn something, and listening to give help or solace, as well as listening for needs and feelings. I believe that the way I communicate with my family has shifted the most. I'm still practicing and learning what works and what doesn't. I feel better about myself knowing that I am able to communicate using nonviolent communication. I am expressing my feelings and needs to my family using nonviolent communication's 4 components: observations, feelings, needs, and requests. I believe I am beginning to shift how I listen to my family. I am working on not jumping to conclusions, and I am practicing listening for their feelings and needs, as well as my own. I have learned to care about the needs and feelings of every person I communicate with, including my own. I have learned to care about the way I communicate with my family. I have learned to communicate with them in a non-violent way. Before taking this class, I didn't think it was possible to change the way I communicate. I thought, this is me. I never liked that I was a yeller. I often went over situations in my head, thinking that would help. It wasn't until I took this class that I truly understood that I couldn't change something until I knew how to. I now have steps, processes, and principles to look back on as tools and reminders. In the future, I would like for my whole family to learn to communicate in a non-violent way. Right now, the best way for that to happen is for me to be mindful of how I communicate so that they can learn by example. I am still learning myself, but I hope that they continue to see a difference in me and will want to change themselves. I am truly excited for the day when it all becomes first nature to us, and we as a family can break the terrible cycle of communicating violently.